Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we're going to go back into EX2 of the beatdown battle for the new Protectors of Peace team. This is part 2 of this series. Part 1 released yesterday with 5 teams that I used to clear it. Today we're going to use 5 more teams to clear the stage to get that free copy of Geld before you move into the Inferno stages and it becomes much more difficult. But again, this stage is not hard. By turn 8, where you're nuking, they have 0 resistances. You can use magic, you can use physical, you can use crit, pierce, synergy. It does not matter. So it really opens up team building, apart from attempting to focus on green orbs. But in this video, we're going to show that it's not always necessary to have green orbs. And it really means that you can damage this stage with anybody. And on top of that, they have really, really low attack. So you're not in danger of dying at all, even on turn 8. Like some stages, yeah, the Vengeance team, like you need the seal, you need healers, you need some way to cut their damage. Not this stage. No, they made this very, very easy. You will not die unless you are bringing like level 1 units in or something. Which again, makes it very, very easy for players to get this free-to-play Geld. Okay, Team 1, Idolmaster team. Not going to be difficult. We're stacking magic attack, we're stacking attack with live mode, we've got an AOE water nuker in Shizuka, we've got synergy power, which we're going to use on turn 8, we've got Isis for the green buff, Tsubasa is going to take care of our turn 1 orbs, and then Mirai is also here for live mode. Even though she's type disadvantage, 1, they don't hit us very hard, and 2, we're literally invincible. So this team is super brain dead. Maybe even more brain dead than the Vengeance team. But turn 1, we'll use Tsubasa to orb change. They're going to ult us a lot, so that means we're going to cap out Tsubasa's attack buff that we can also use on turn 8. And here, we're just simply going to stack forever and ever and ever with Shizuka. And we can go a few turns without having the invincibility on. We'll take 10 damage. Oh, tragic. Alright, even type disadvantage, 1 attack, or 1 damage. So, excellent. Awesome. I don't think we need to sit here for 8 turns to watch this. You use the live mode, the future hand of greens from Mirai certainly will help out a bit here. And then we'll use Isis to use her green buff. And then we'll use Rimuru to make everybody but Isis invincible and to give us a full hand of greens. And then we'll just simply do this over and over and over. If you don't want to use the alt swap for Idol Shuna, you don't have to. You can just send these alts. We're going to get them back in the next 6 turns, guaranteed. So you can hold on to them if you want. You cannot hold on to them if you want. It really doesn't matter. We're going to do a lot of damage by the time we get to turn 8 with Shizuka regardless, because we're stacking magic attack, stacking normal attack. We've got weakness strike stacking. We've got ult resistance down at least on 1 enemy. Maybe all 3 if you actually want to spread it out a bit. And then we'll have the attack buff from Tsubasa and the synergy power from Shuna. And all of that combined for 8 turns means that they're gonna get wiped. So, all right, we sent the alts. What do you know? I don't want to hold on to them. We're gonna make them back. We already have another alt for Shizuka, so another live mode, another future hand of greens. We still have 1 more turn of the green buff active, so we don't need to do anything. We'll bring Tsubasa in here now for funsy onesies, and then we'll simply send this again, because, again, we're going to make it all back. Like, we almost have another ult for Shizuka already. And it's only turn 4. We've sent 2 ults for her already. So this team is dumb. So let's skip ahead to turn 8. Turn 8? Turn 8. Alright, we're ready to nuke. We have the EX ult for Shizuka now. We have a full hand of Shizuka. Tsubasa comes in. We'll use her attack buff. We just use Shuna's synergy buff. 1 more stack of magic from Rimuru. 2 more stacks, actually, and that's all the points we have. So we're going to nuke, and we do 561k. Excellent. Very, very nice to see, and that's free and easy. Free and easy, and we're pretty much full HP. Pretty much full HP, because we've either not taken any damage, or we've taken like 10 damage this entire fight. Okay. First time we're not using like an EX team. We've got the first anniversary Dark team. Dark Veldora, raising our skill cap. giving us up to 70% magic buff every turn that we use him. And then he's resetting our skills. Dark Shinsha has the dark attack. On turn 8, it gets a little bit stronger. Isis, green buff. Geld is here to give us the extra points that this team normally does not have very much of. Milim for the ult buff and the attack buff for Dark Allies if she's skill fused, and her orb change. And then Dark Rimuru, they gave him away for free a couple months ago. He's an AoE character, he's got crit. He is also skill fused, which means that his crit skill is slightly cheaper. And it's still the same power. It's just, I think it'll also give it to Geld as well now. This team can do it. Not on turn 8, but it'll certainly still kill within the 10 turn mission at least. Alright, so we're using the skill point units so we can use both Orb Change for Milim and the Isis Green buff on turn 1. Gives us 100 skill points, still gives us a use of Veldora for next turn. We've got Rimuru. He's going to be our quote-unquote primary DPS character, although I say that, but his damage output is horrible compared to Milim because they don't have EX ults, so the AoE ults were just so much weaker back then than the single targets, and because they haven't really focused on single targets ults at that time. But here we got a good hand right there. Orb change, Veldora reset. Now we can use Geld's skill point increase, which his weakness resistance down means nothing because none of us are water characters. But the extra skill points on greens means that we can very easily cap out every turn. Because a problem with this team is 1, orange orbs, and 2 is that unless you're really using Shinsha's debuff skill, the crit resistance down, which gives you slightly more skill points every single time, you're really hurting for skill points a lot. Especially when you get to the high cap levels like 245, 300 something plus, and you're only making back 110. It really hurts your chances of being able to successfully orb change. But here, Geld is able to change his own orbs, so we are going to make use of that in a way. So change those, we'll then use Geld's orb change to change his orbs, boom, and that leaves an orange and a blue for Milim. So that looked like a very dead hand, but we were actually able to make it work because we're keeping Geld in the back for these specific scenarios where we need to bring him in for something because he needs to change his orbs. And now we've used another stack of his weakness down, which means we're getting 100% extra skill points on greens. And this team certainly does need it. So this hand, though, is a bit unfortunate. Again, orange orbs are not our favorite things in the world. But we can bring in Rimuru for Isis and then do something about that. So, well, we're going to do a few things first. So let's use Veldora to reset, and then we'll bring we'll bring Shinsha in for Geld after we use his green buff skill. And now we can use Isis green buff, or orange change, and then another stack of the Shinsha debuff. Cool. And now, when we bring in Rimuru for Isis, we only have 1 orange, which then we can just use that. So there we go. And then we'll use the guaranteed crits. We're going to send these ults because I don't have an alt swapper on this team. Makes it very cumbersome to use, so we're not going to really hold on to them. And we don't need to hold on to them because, again, we're not EX characters. We don't need a double gauge for them to nuke. We only need 1, and we're going to get that pretty easily with this team. So don't hold on to the ults, just send them, make your hands full of oranges, apparently, yeah, and move on. So we're going to skip ahead. We're on turn 9. Actually, we'll go to turn 8, actually. We'll watch this nuke first. We are fully buffed with the dark, the ult, the crit, the magic buff. So here, Milim, 371, good. Rimuru, 186, not good, but Miran's dead. And then we'll start just chipping off damage off the other people. So, not fully able to wipe here, but we are making a lot of those points back, and we'll just continue the fight. Turn 10 is the mission for the 3-star clear. We get this done by turn 10. It's just, you gotta sit here for a while. But this is a very easy team to use because it's full of very old characters. 2 of them are free to play, Isis and Geld. Milim, Rimuru, Shinsha, they came out almost 2 years ago. So, I mean, if you've been playing for any amount of time, maybe you've pulled them. Maybe off of the part 1, 2, or 3 free tickets, maybe you've pulled them off of that and you've gotten lucky. This team can do it, and it can get you those free dupes of Geld. and now we have 2 ults, and we're gonna kill. So we have enough points to full buff again, essentially. So Veldora, 70% magic, and then crit, dark, alt damage, boom, boom, boom. They've all been reset, so they're all cheap, or they're back to their basic costs. And now we're going to take them out. So Milim does 375k. We know that for a fact. So we're going to have her target probably Adelman, since he's got more HP. So, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 383. Cool. And Rimuru, 197. And there we go. First anniversary team clearing EX2. Old team still can wipe. Alright, the next team is an AoE green team using old units again. Space Guy. He's also one of the converters or protectors that changes 3 and 3 orbs to 6 greens. He also puts an AoE debuff on the enemy for 2 turns, and he gives you 35% alt gauge. Great! We're going to bring Isis for the green buff. We're going to bring Octarium Lumi for the AoE damage and the alt damage. Free to play Geld, again, making an appearance, because we would like max points every single turn. Water Shion is an AoE water character. She's going to give pretty much the water buff to Fount of Wisdom Rimuru, who is going to be our primary damage. Physical water, his physical buff is quite massive. So between his buffs, we're going to continue to try and stack a few uses of Lumi here and there. We can output enough damage throughout the fight to actually take them down without stacking a protector or anything and having low to good tier units. The only caveat is that this team is going to take a long time to kill, because we are not stacking up damage, and we're not going to do, 100k every single hit. And because Guy does not skill reset, it means that we have to be really, really conscious of when we're using buffs. We don't have enough points to use them together, unless you get the EX ult for Rimuru, and then use the physical buff and send him away and all that shit. Like, you can certainly do that, but it's still not going to be enough damage to kill. So what this team is doing is going to, again, kind of turtle and build up for 8 turns, wait for their defense to go away, and then you start really laying the buffs on. So like turn 9 with the EX ult for Rimuru, you use the physical buff, and then you don't kill, and you get it back on turn 10, and then you use the water buff from Shion, and as long as you've got a buff going on, you'll do more damage. It's just going to take a while to get there. So that hand, not great, but oh well. We'll send these ults, because again, we're not doing that much damage. They're going to heal a lot of it back anyways, but I don't want to hold on to these. We don't have an ult swapper here either, so it makes it hard. But what we are doing is we are stacking the ult damage and the AoE damage from Lumi, which is really impactful. Really, the AoE damage is quite impactful to more than anything else. But here, I mean, there's an EX ult for Shion. That's great. We don't need it. But it's certainly there, and she can't even use an EX ult anyways. But excellent. Guy, you can see the AoE debuff is on, so that's going to last for another turn, and we're going to use it again. But let's use another buff to the AoE skills, and we'll just send this. We're not using Guy every turn, because I'm trying to get orbs away, and I'm trying to send these ults so we can make room for 6 hands of greens. Like, I don't want ults until turn 7 or something like that. So that's the name of the game. Just continue to slowly but surely stack up with Lumi and then get some ults. So let's skip ahead to turn 8. We have the physical buff for Rimuru. We have the EX ult. We have Geld's ult. We have Lumi's ult, technically. But we're actually going to send Rimuru away. Interesting. Okay. I guess I'm going to wait for the Shion ult, and we're going to send this. And we'll try and hit with her, because she'll have the water buff next turn as well. Alright, well, sure. I don't remember doing that, but we're here, and I'm watching it, so I did it. Alright, 11k. You can see that their health is not really down very much, so we have not really done a lot of damage to them. Now we're past turn 8, we've got a burn on, that's not really a big deal. Let's bring Rimuru in for Lumi, and then we'll use the water buff. The water buff, because it's just better. It is skill fused, so it's slightly better than normal. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be skill fused. And then we'll bring Geld in. He still has the physical buff from Rimuru as well. And then AoE debuff is on. We'll send Rimuru first, because he lowers defense. And we're going to do a magical amount of damage here. 244. Magical. 62k for Xion. 26k for Geld. And maybe Adelman is dead here? Maybe? He is. Okay. So turn 9. They're kind of low. And we'll just continue the fight. Continue to build up with Guy. He's going to rush alts. He's going to give us 6 hands. We'll get their alts this turn. Excellent. We have max points, so we can use maybe this crit skill and cut it down. It'll just help us do a little bit extra damage, but Mirren is taunting and she's guarding, so she doesn't really take anything. But more importantly, we have ults now, and we have 100 points, so we could use the physical buff or the water buff again, depending on how you want to play it out. But turn 11, and we'll just use the physical buff, and we'll send it. We'll use Guy again, get a full 6 hand of greens, rush the ult again, and then send. Does this actually kill? 76k, 37k right there. Turn 11. I mean, it was easy. We're not really in danger of dying, and it certainly worked. It's not turn 10, so that's the only downside. Alright, here's where we start to bring in the blue orb teams, and just to show that it is very much possible. So we've got the Ogre's Pride team, Benimaru, Soe, Blanc is here for the alt swapping, her weakness strike means nothing here. Coleus Rimuru is going to be on this team and the next team, because we really, really do need him to supercharge the gauges and everything. Momiji is going to be our DPS, Violet is here for orb changing and her magic buff, so it's a pretty well thought out team. It's just that we're on a stage that nerfs blue orbs by 80%, so that's why we need Coleus Rimuru more than anything else. So turn 1, we don't have an orb changer, right? We don't have any green orbs for this team. So we're pretty much, going to have to wait till turn 8 to nuke, because we need their synergy and their magic and their defense resistances to drop, because this team is magic and synergy and doesn't want extra defense on their enemies. So this is another kind of wait out the turn and try and build up for the perfect thing. And if you need to burn a few turns, burn them. Like, we really don't need them. Having the rainbow orbs means that if we play our cards right, we can really get an EX ult very, very quickly for someone. It's just that we need to get to a point where we can use multiple skills, because blue orbs are nerfed and we're not sending full hands of anything right now. And we've got 1 stack of Benimaru. That's 100% extra skill points, and we're being nerfed by 80, so we're only getting a 20% increase. Like, that's not great. Here, though, here's where we start doing it. So we have 2 orbs for Blanc. That can be immediately changed with either Soe or Violet, or Rimuru for that matter. It doesn't really matter. But we're going to do his own convert and then rainbows, and then we'll bring Soe in for Rimuru. And this will get us all 3 ults. And then we have Blanc in the back. Plus it'll get us 186 points, and it gives us a double stack of Benimaru, which now means that we have 3 stacks of Benimaru, which is now enough to get us a decent amount of points. Here we get very lucky, because we have an incoming blue orb. We can use these Benimaru stacks. We do want to go to turn 8, because that's when we get the 100% pierce power, and that's when we really start doing good damage with Benimaru and the rest of the team. So here, we'll just simply take out Violet, we'll use the alt swap, we'll use Soe's orb change. Now we're going to get a decent amount of points back from these. Not a lot of gauge, though, but 159 points, I mean, I will certainly take. It's just that we're not going to get a lot more of Benimaru. So for the next couple of turns, we're pretty much stuck, and we're going to have to hold on to him, because we're only getting a third of the gauge, and we have 2 more turns after this before we're ready to nuke. So it's going to take those 2 turns to get another use of Benimaru. So we're going to have, at most, 5 stacks of Benny. It's not a lot, but we do have the ability to make this work. So let's just go ahead and cut to turn 8. Turn 8. Yeah, turn 8. Okay, so here we go. We don't have enough points to max out Soe's skill. Like, we're going to use 320 points, but we need to use 300 before even touching Soe. So we're just going to have to deal with the 50% synergy power. It does not make a difference, quite honestly. We'll use the Benimaru stack that we've received, and that gives us the 100% pierce power. And then we'll nuke with Momiji, and then we'll send these, and she does 1.4 million damage. Triple the amount of HP that they have, almost. So, yeah. The stage does not want you to use blue orbs, but we can kind of say, well, go fuck yourself anyways, because of Coleus Rimuru and his supercharging capabilities with the rainbow orbs. So this team certainly outputs more than enough damage to do so. And I mean, you don't technically need Soe to do it. He certainly does help a lot, but we did 1.4 million. We only need like 580 or something. So we can swap out a few of these supports. Blanc was only here for the ult swapping. We didn't use her skill at all. Weakness Strike, we're not type advantage against anybody. So Soe, replaceable. Violet, kind of important, because she's got the magic buff and the orb change. Momiji is the DPS. But yeah, this certainly works very well. Alright, and the final team for this video, again focusing on blue orbs and the power of the rainbows from Coleus Rimuru, is Warrior's Mind, a physical team that is crit focused, so we are at least playing into a few of the things the stage wants. We also, because we don't need an entire team full of support, we do have Trya for our turn 1 orb change, so that makes it a little bit easier for a few different turns, but otherwise, Protector Velzard, stacking attack on both Guy, Violet, or all three of them, Guy, Violet, and Lumi. We have 2 AoE nukers in Lumi and Violet, so as long as we can get at least one of their EX ults, we're going to be looking fairly good. But Guy is giving guaranteed crits to them, and the alt buff. Lumi is giving the crit resistance down on turn 8 and the physical buff, and then Violet, alt resistance down and crit damage. So between these 3 characters, we're going to do more than we need. It's just, again, we have to go to turn 8 to have them lower their defenses, and we need to build up a little bit. So turn 1, we brought Trya for the orb change here. We're not bringing an alt swapper, though, which makes things a bit iffy, which is really leads into the fact that we need to use Coleus Rimuru's rainbow orbs to really make sure that we get at least one EX alt somewhere. Because I don't want to be sending 4 orbs or 5 orbs and holding an alt. I'd rather send all 6 and maybe hold 2 alts in the back or an alt in the back. But that gets us a stack of Velzard. Excellent, cool. This hand is interesting. We can actually change it. So full hand with Violet, awesome. We'll use the Guy orb change then to make that. And we have exactly 30 points left over, I think. Yeah, to use the rainbows. So we're going to use that very, very early. And this will get us Violet's EX alt. So that's why, if you didn't get super lucky on turn 2 to do that, don't worry. You can do it on like turn 4 or something. But you do want to set it up so at least somebody gets their EX alt, and you can put them away in the back. We don't need to hold buffs or anything. We'll have plenty by the time we're ready to nuke. We gotta turn the animation off, so give me a second. Because we only have 3 buffers here. It's not a lot of points at the end of the day. So we just need to now continue to send full hands of blues so we can make use of the extra skill points. But because we have Trya, if by chance you get a lot of green orbs, you can use Trya to give yourself just kind of a burned turn full of greens that are not nerfed. They're not going to get you as many skill points now, but it'll get you some gauge, which is, well, it'll give you some protection gauge, more than the blues are going to give you. So that's always something. Like right here, we can do that, right here. So we'll bring Trya in for Guy. She'll change 3 Guy orbs, and that just leaves the Lumi orbs, which we can use her special convert for. And then we'll send a full hand. So change. And while that doesn't really get us a lot of points, it is enough to kind of make things work out. So we're going to... I probably should have brought Violet in for Rimuru just to make sure she can get a stack and we won't have to upset anything. But certainly works out just well. So here, now we have a Lumi alt. That's cool and all. So now we can send her to the back and then just bring Guy in. And then we'll just run the next couple of turns with just those 3 characters. We'll use the extra protector skill with Lumi, the gimmick that she has. It's sometimes, most of the time, not overly useful, but here we can actually make use of it. So we'll get a double stack on both these girls, and then we'll send Violet again away. And then we'll just send these. I think we burn the hand. Change. Do we send the Lumi alt? No, we don't. Okay, we save it. So we need 240 points to nuke, which, when we skip ahead to turn 8, we will have 240 points. Okay. So this is coming up on turn 8. We haven't really done that much damage to them, but we have the EX alt for Violet, we have the alt for Lumi, and we have orbs to bring them in for. So one more stack of Velzard. Boom. And then 254 points. So we have 14 left over. So alt, crit, physical buff, crit resistance down, crit damage, alt resistance down, and Violet does 600k, which is enough to kill. So there we go. Another blue team that can overpower this stage using Rainbow Orbs from Coleus Rimuru. But there are another 5 teams you can use to clear out EX2. If you have any teams that I did not use in this video or the previous video, let me know in the comments. That way other people can see that and they can use those teams maybe. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.